Hello and welcome to another Financial Perspectives. In this edition, we're going to be talking about a number of very important factors, including the role the media has had in the current economic crisis, as it's called, businesses, how they're doing now, and of course, how are you doing as an individual investor, and what should you be doing? Linda, first of all, let's look at the media. A lot of negative stories coming out of the media. Is that their main role, is to make everything look bad?
Well, what their role is and what they do, I think, are two different things. For some reason, they do seem to believe that negativity is what sells, and so they focus on that, and they take one aspect and run with it ad infinitum. In this particular situation, they're focusing on the fighting and the impending problems with the U.S. government. In actual fact, the U.S. government is not the most drastically hit place for financial difficulty. Europe and Japan actually have far bigger problems with a lot less opportunities for change. And a lot of what we're seeing is more about politics and that sort of thing than it is about economic difficulties, because the US government, at the very least, they will pay their interest, and so it won't be a complete default even if they don't come to a resolution. However, there's a better chance than not that they'll come to some sort of resolution.
Now, they've had difficulties, of course, for a number of years. Their debt is very high, not as high as a lot of the European countries, but they do have resources. They can, governments can always go to the people.
That's right. And the U.S. is in probably one of the best positions than any other country, unlike Europe, which is taxed to the max, and even ourselves. There's no HST there, there's no gas tax, there's no cigarette tax, there's no alcohol tax. We know when we go down there, it's a lot cheaper for those type of goods than it is here in Canada. So they do have the opportunity of using those, even if they don't touch income tax.
But we know there's a lot of politics involved, and maybe that's what, a lot we're hearing about. Now let's look at business. Of course, business did have difficulties immediately following the difficulties in 2008 and 2009,
right,
regardless of how they were caused, and we know a lot of it is because of manipulations perhaps by financial circles, and that's been well covered. But what did happen to business? How was it affected that particular time, and how was it recovered?
Well, it was affected drastically. I mean, it has been said that banks and loaning of money is sort of the grease that keeps an engine running. And that's exactly what happened. The banks became very uncomfortable with each other, didn't really trust anybody, never mind even businesses. And so as a result, money just plain dried up, and it put companies in huge financial distress. And that's why we went through the time that we did, because some companies, if not many companies, follow close to holding just what cash they need. And so goods would come in and they may not be able to pay for the order of goods just because their cash flow was so tight. It made them have to relook at things and say, we can't be completely reliant on the banks, we have to be a little more independent. And as a result, they have been amassing cash and cutting their spending and being much more responsible. Haven't actually been doing a whole lot of hiring. Plus, in the US in particular, with the US dollar going down, it's made exporting much better for them with a lot more profits. And now we're looking at them and they have a lot more cash.
So we have the situation, of course, when we're looking at business and the government, that on one hand we have the government that seems to be in difficulty, and what you're saying is that business really is doing better.
That's right. Well, although the country, government-wise, is a problem, corporate America in particular is doing very well. We're at a point where most likely they'll be in such a good financial position, they're going to be probably starting to look at dividends and paying those out to shareholders, which could very well be you and me.
So let's look at us, or individual investors. And we are, of course, ourselves as well, too.
Absolutely.
But looking after our clients, what do we really say with respect to, on one hand, the governments are in bad shape, or appear to be in many areas, except for Canada, which has now a AAA rating,
right,
the best in the world. But nonetheless, businesses seem to be doing, fairly well. So where does that place the individual investor in this whole picture?
Well, I think the important thing is that you have to at least filter out the noise of the media, which is not focusing on anything other than this infighting and this problem that's coming up with the US and their debt and that sort of thing, and look at, where are you investing, what are the purposes you're investing for. And again, if it's something that you're going to use next year, you're not invested in the market. If it's something that you're going to use for your retirement or 10 years down the road, this means, potentially buying opportunities, if nothing else, because if there is any ripples in the market, which we've been seeing a bit of, it's just things going on sale, but it is not a financial crisis.
Affecting us, of course, are such factors as inflation, which continues to go
Absolutely.
up, and the very, very low interest rate, which may go up, but probably not that much. So it does present investing difficulties for people who want to be safe and yet make money at the same time.
That's right. Well, there's risk in absolutely anything. The interest rates are really low, and as a result of that, you're not going to keep up with the cost of living. We see gas prices going up for us, we see food prices, and that's probably going to rise even more with all of the inclement weather that's been experienced. So as a result, the only way to be able to fight inflation is to be in some growth investments. It's a matter of matching your time frames to what those investments are, and when we're making money, that's when we pull it off the table, not when the media is making noise.
Remember, if you do have any questions or concerns, we're here.
Give us a call, drop us an email, anytime.
Or drop in. Thanks very much for watching this edition of Financial Perspectives.